Arsenal 2, Southampton 1, as the Gunners end their season on a high. Let's go. How's it going, Gooners? And welcome back to yet another episode of Punch Drunk Arsenal. In today's episode, we're going to have a little recap of the Arsenal win over Southampton on the final day of the Premier League season. Obviously, a bit of a disappointing season for the Gunners this year. Finishing second for the third consecutive time. It's been a bit of a roller coaster season for us. We know there's been a lot of red cards, there's been a lot of injuries that's costed us this campaign. But we can't really blame too many people except for ourselves. We didn't invest properly where we needed to. We all knew we needed more attacking reinforcements. We needed another striker. Havertz alone was not going to be able to do it for us this season. Jesus also hasn't been up to par since his big injury, injured again now. So we knew we needed to get those attacking reinforcements in this campaign, and unfortunately we didn't do that. But it is what it is. We need to build on that for the future. We need to build on for next season. And it does look like the Gunners are finally looking at bringing in those big reinforcements we need. Victor Gyokeres linked with us, Benjamin Sesko linked with us, Rodrigo. So it does seem like the club is actually moving ahead and moving towards those players we need to bring in. Nonetheless, let's get into the game from today. We started off quite well. Arteta made a lot of changes to the starting lineup, as we expect him to do. We don't really think he'd be risking his big name players, the likes of Bukayo Saka, Kai Havertz, who's also just come back from a long-term injury, in a game that really had no impact on our season whatsoever. Either way, unless Man City managed to score about 10 goals in their game today, we were going to finish second place. So, as I mentioned, it was a disappointing season, but at least we finished off on a high. We can take some momentum into the next game. So let's just get straight into the Southampton game. We started off pretty decently. We had a lot of possession early on. We had a few chances with the headers. Marino's header coming off the bar. Martinelli had a header in the first 3 minutes that went straight to Ramsdale. But we still see the necessity for more attacking reinforcements. And luckily, Josh Kroenke and Andre Roberto were both there, and they could firsthand see the need for attackers. Kieran Tierney, what a lad getting his goal and his final appearance for the club. He's obviously joining Celtic. He's returning to Celtic on a free transfer this summer. So seeing him score was wonderful. He opened the scoring for the game just before the half-time whistle. A nice little pass, I think it was Nwaneri down the wing, cutting it back, and then Tierney just with his right foot glancing it past Ramsdale to open the scoring for us. So the Gunners were actually leading 1-0 at half-time. When we came out at the break, we looked very comfortable once again, and then a set piece. We went from the set piece kings to the set piece jokers. I think this season the Gunners have scored the most goals from set pieces, but on the other hand, we've also conceded the most from set pieces. I think that could have something to do with the injuries to Gabriel and Kai Havertz, who are two very big players and obviously players we rely on a lot at set pieces. Saliba was also out injured for this game, so that's another one. So our backline was actually quite short compared to what it usually is. We had Zinchenko in there. Zinchenko was playing left back. We actually had a decent game today. Tierney was at centre back alongside Kiwior and Ben White at right back. And I just want to mention something about Kiwior. Kiwior is coming. He always had a lot of criticism when he came in. But since coming for Gabriel, he's hardly put a foot wrong. He's been a really, really good player. And I can understand now why Arsenal reportedly have put a 60 million price tag on him. It really makes sense that he's going to be a player that we need to have for next season. Arsenal also looking at another defensive reinforcement, possibly someone for the right hand side, which is an area of concern, a slight concern for us. We saw Ben White, who likely won't get another injury like he did this year. He's quite an injury-free player. Kieran Tierney is a player that does pick up injuries quite often through a season, and then William Saliba, another guy's hardly missed any games for us over the last 18 months or so. Also been injured recently, but we're not going to put too much blame on injuries, obviously. Players do get injured throughout a campaign. We just need the proper backup for those players, so we have the squad depth. So I do believe the Gunners will look at bringing in another defensive option at the right side centre-back. Then we obviously saw, like I mentioned, as we came in from the break, it was 1-0 in our favour, in Arsenal's favour. And kings to set piece, Gyokeres, Southampton, I think it was the 55th minute or so, so 10 minutes after the game restarted. Ross Stewart with a beautiful, you have to give credit where credit is due. Ross Stewart with a beautiful header past David Raya. At that moment in time, it did look like Raya's not going to get his golden glove. He's not going to get back-to-back golden gloves. Luckily for him, in the Chelsea game, Chelsea managed to put one past Sal's, and so they both will be sharing the golden glove this season. But that's back-to-back clean golden gloves for Raya, which is also a good thing because Arsenal are looking at a backup goalkeeper. There was talks about João Garcia. I think after his campaign with Espanyol this season, we're not going to see him coming into the club. But that's kind of a good thing because we don't want another situation like we did when Raya came in and he was competing with Ramsdale, where we had two number ones, even though Raya was undoubtedly Arteta's first choice pick, fighting it out for the number one position. You want someone that's your clear cut number one, and then you want someone that's the clear-cut number two. You want a goalkeeper that understands that he's not the first-choice keeper. And I think someone like João Garcia coming in, especially with the season he had, would be wanting to be a first-choice keeper. And with the amount of clubs interested in him, I recently read today that Barca are going to go back in for him. So you'd expect that with Barcelona being a club interested in him, and he'd possibly be the first choice there. I mean, Ter Stegen's getting of age. Chesney's getting of age. And then you've also got other clubs like Aston Villa, who with Emi Martinez, who made a big howler today against Man United. Actually ended up costing them the Champions League this season. You'd expect a club like Aston Villa to be in for him. We would be first choice. So understand from the player and from Arsenal's side that it's probably not a deal we're looking to pursue at this moment. But a second reserve goalkeeper is definitely something we're looking at. So obviously the game was balanced at 1-1. We saw Arteta now starting to make the substitutions, bringing on his big name players. We saw Saka coming on, Trossard coming on. Then we saw... talking about Saka and Trossard coming on, let me just stop it there. Raheem Sterling, what did that man do at this club this season? He was the biggest waste of space. He was the biggest waste of time. He costed us a lot of money, and he offered absolutely nothing. I think that's a big reason why we also saw Edu actually leaving the club this summer. Bringing in a player like that and I myself also had hopes that he was going to be a good player, just because of the name, because of the stature of the player that he was coming into the club for. But now it makes sense why Chelsea was so keen to offload him. He really offered us nothing. I cannot wait for him to be back in, South London, back in with Chelsea, just away, or West London, wherever Chelsea are, away from Arsenal Football Club. He was the biggest waste of space, biggest waste of time. Anyway, so we saw Saka and Trossard come on, and we saw the likes of Havertz coming on, Miles Lewis, Kelly, etc. And then finally we saw Martin Odegaard coming on. And Martin Odegaard has received a lot of criticism this season. Rightly so to some degree. I mean, he was injured for about 3 months. And he didn't deliver the campaigns we used to seeing from Odegaard. The amount of goals, the amount of assists that we used to seeing from him. However, once again today, especially in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a player that's coming back to his base form. We've seen him taking the shots from outside the box, those lethal shots. And today was a stunning goal from our captain. In the 89th minute, he dinked past, who was that? He dinked past, I think it was Smallbone. As soon as he got past Smallbone, on the edge of the D, smashed the ball past the Southampton defenders, one bounce into the goal past Aaron Ramsdale. And that's what we used to see from our captain. I think a lot of people, unfair criticism has been his creativity. I think we've seen a lot of his passes and stuff actually go into the box. I believe we've seen him actually create a lot more chances than perceived. I think if we had a better striker, it would allow him to actually, where we actually converts those chances, we'd actually see a lot more assists from Odegaard. Additionally, I think once we actually have a striker, like a lethal striker as well as a left winger, it will allow for more space to be created for Odegaard, where he can actually express himself better. At this moment in time, Arsenal, that we are a very predictable side, and that's why when we face low blocks, it's very easy to defend against us, because almost everything runs through our right-hand channel. Our left-hand side is very weak, especially the attack in front. Declan Rice is a very good player, but unfortunately, when you have wingers like Martinelli and Trossard that do not offer the same consistency or same threat as what Saka does, it's going to be an issue for the Gunners. So I think once we actually bring in another left winger, well, a world-class one, either Rodrigo, a Nico Williams, something like that, we'll see a lot of improvements for the Gunners. And then obviously the striker position, which at this moment in time looks like it's between Victor Gyokeres and Benjamin Sesko. We'll see all our players actually improve. We'll see the numbers improve. We'll see much better performances from everyone else. Also, Martin Zubimendi looks like he's almost 100% guaranteed to come in. Him at the pivot at the base for Arsenal will allow for a lot more better ball distribution. Also, his intellect of the game, his IQ, his reading of space, everything is very good. So he's a big improvement for the club. Obviously, we saw in the European, the Euros 2024 when he came on for Rodri. A lot of people actually claiming that he had a better performance than Rodri did. So having someone like Martin Zubimendi come in, a player that Arteta has been fancying for a long, long time, will help us push forward. And then, yeah, like I say, guys, at least we finished the season off on a high. There's a lot to improve on, attacking-wise especially. Our defense is pretty much sorted. Midfield, we need a little bit of tweaks here and there, especially in the defensive midfield department. Partey's likely to stay with a new contract, but he's not the one that's going to push us forward and drive the club forward to the elite level. He's been a good player for us, Thomas Partey, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately for inconsistencies and the constant injury concerns with him, he has costed us a few times. Also, that silly red card he gave against Real Madrid in the second leg, really that cost us, because we needed him for the first leg against PSG. That set the whole tone for this first leg, which unfortunately with Rice having to be in the pivot, we didn't have that attacking momentum down the left-hand side. So I think as a whole, there's a lot of positive takes from the season, a lot of negatives as well. A lot of things didn't go our way. They were out of our control, like I mentioned, the red cards and the injuries. But at the end of the day, you have to the ball's in your court, as they would say. We have to be the ones that take control of our matches and win more games. And that comes through scoring more goals, unfortunately. Like I say, defensively, we're probably the best defensive side in Europe. We really are. We're up there with Inter Milan, and I think those are the two best defensive sides. I think our midfield, especially with Zubimendi coming in, is going to be one of the best midfields in Europe as well. And now we need to improve that attack to get to that same level. Because at the moment, our attack's just a decent one. Kai Havertz, very good player. He will score goals. But we need someone a little bit more clinical, someone that can actually breathe that fear into opposition defenses. I don't think Kai Havertz does it. I think he's a good player, though. He's a hard-working player. He offers something that we don't have. He offers physicality as well. And he can also he can subsidize as like a makeshift second striker, also as like a 10. So he can also be a versatile player, also playing the 8. So he's going to offer Arsenal a lot of options. It's not like if we bring in a striker, Kai Havertz won't play. I think there's going to be a lot of times where Kai Havertz will play in different positions. Also can play as a striker. So that gives us that option. And with Kai Havertz still being available to the club is why I personally want Victor Gyokeres to come in, because he offers something different to what Kai Havertz says. I think Benjamin Sesko is maybe not as technically as good as Kai Havertz, like on the ball, but they're very similar in the way they with like headers and like powerful that the physicality side of the game. So personally for me, Gyokeres coming in. If we can bring in, so Zubimendi's coming in, like three, before I name the names, like if we can bring in 3 big name players in the right positions, and then like 3 backup players, I think will be very solid going into next season. A backup goalkeeper, backup right-sided defender, preferably a centre-back, and then a backup midfielder. Even though Zubimendi's coming in, I do think we probably do need another one. Maybe someone that can help out Odegaard, even though Max Dowman's coming through, the young lad from Hale End. 1 year he can play there, so that's not the biggest of concerns, but a backup defender, right-sided one definitely, goalkeeper definitely. Then for the 3 main players, these are the ones I want. Martin Zubimendi looks like he's a done deal. He looks like he's coming in. He's going to offer us a lot in the midfield zones. Striker is of valuable importance. Personally for us, we want Gyokeres for everything we mentioned. He's offers something different that guys don't have, and arguably, as we all know his numbers, he's probably the best striker in Europe at the moment. Something crazy, like obviously for club and country, something like 63 goals and 12 assists. So that's about 75 goal contributions plus minus for this season. The Taça de Portugal is tonight, so the Portuguese Cup final against Benfica. I think we'll see a lot of movement in that deal coming in this week. Personally, we have heard that Berta's obviously a big fan of Gyokeres and wants to get that deal over the line. Arteta's more a fan of Sesko, but we've personally heard that Arsenal will accelerate negotiations with the club, with Sporting Lisbon this week. Personal terms are not an issue with the player at all. Arsenal have already met with these representatives, and all parties are quite keen on completing a deal. Then left wing, which is another important position for us to improve this summer. Trossard looks like he will likely be signing a new deal. Don't know what that means for Martinelli if he's the one leaving. I don't think Martinelli is going to be on the way out. So I think even if we have those two, which is good because we do need numbers, guys. We saw Jesus is not reliable for a whole season through. If we pick up another injury or 2 year there, then we're short again. So having played like Trossard is actually a good thing. Martinelli staying on is a good thing. And then if we can bring in someone like a Rodrigo is obviously the dream at the moment on the left wing position. It's going to be a hefty penny, around 75 million plus big wages. But he would be the dream. That's the type of player you want to come in and set the tone for that Arsenal will be serious contenders. We're here for business. We're not here to mess around. We actually want to win big trophies. If we're not able to win Rodrigo, and Nico Williams, another player that Arteta's a big fan of, a player that we've been scouting for a long time. We came close to signing him last summer. If we can bring in Nico Williams, another good player that's coming into the club. Jamie Bino-Gitsons is one of the Englishmen from Borussia Dortmund. Haven't seen too much of him. I haven't watched too much Bundesliga this season. I know he's quite silky. He's got quite silky feet and he's quite good at the dribbling. I think he's probably around third choice, and then the Brian Mbeumo, which is probably around the same level as him. But if we can bring in, so for me, as I mentioned, those two reserve type of backup players, a goalkeeper and a right side defender, important for squad depth, but we really need to be looking at Zubimendi, who looks like he's a certain to come in. That's going to improve our midfield quite a bit. And then a striker and a left wing, which are imperative for us to get this summer. If we don't get the striker and the left wing position sorted, unfortunately, we're not going to be winning any Premier Leagues or Champions Leagues anytime soon. So, but anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, the Premier League season has ended. We're going to still be keeping you guys up to date with all the transfer news going on. It's going to be a busy summer for Arsenal. We're going to look to get a lot of business done before the Club World Cup starts. I think what's it, like 10 days or 14 days or so, whatever. Then the window shuts again for a little bit while the Club World Cup's going on. When the Club World Cup opens again, then we'll go back to business. But I think a lot of clubs want to get their business done early, so that are playing in the Club World Cup, so that pushes other clubs who aren't in the Club World Cup, like Arsenal, to also get their business done early. Anyway, guys, as always, please don't forget to smash that like button. Follow Punchdrunk Arsenal for all your latest Arsenal news and transfer updates, especially with the transfer window getting into full swing tomorrow. And leave your comments in the comment section down below. We appreciate all the love and peace.